Welcome back to United USA. Thanks so much for tuning in. And as the saga continues with the depleted reservoirs and lakes here on the West Coast, not just here in Arizona, but now Utah declaring a state of emergency because of water. Here's a picture of Lake Pleasant up in North Phoenix. I was checking just to see what the water levels were. And this is an ongoing issue that still has not been resolved.
You won't be able to turn on your tap if we don't manage our water, and the people of Utah know that.
Governor Spencer Cox has declared a new state of emergency for the drought. The declaration comes as the state prepares for what could be a rough summer of hot temperatures and a lot less water. Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow is on Capitol Hill with the latest.
Fox 13 News first reported earlier this week the governor was planning to issue an emergency declaration. He sped up the timeline, and it's now effective immediately.
The spring storms are helping. We have an amazing storm that's coming over the next few days. We're very excited about that. All of those will help. Unfortunately, it's not enough to get us out of the drought right now.
The governor issued a new state of emergency for drought, putting Utahns on notice for another rough year. Snowpack isn't what it should be. Reservoirs are at low levels. Lake Powell is at 24% capacity, and the Great Salt Lake is at its lowest recorded level. Here's the current situation. All of Utah is in some form of drought. Nearly 40% of the state is in extreme drought. The governor once again is asking Utahns to step up and conserve water.
There were some eye-popping conservation numbers, and our water managers were all shocked at how well Utahns did last year. So we're hoping for repeat performance this year.
Are you planning any restrictions or any kind of demands from the state on local water districts when it comes to conservation measures?
So just like last year, those will be taken on a district-by-district, case-by-case scenario.
Some water districts are already implementing restrictions.
It's going to be a rough year.
The Weber Basin Water Conservancy District, which covers 5 counties in northern Utah, is cutting outdoor water use, but it's also asking residents to voluntarily cut indoor use by 10%.
80-90% of the residences are doing a great job at conserving, and they'll do whatever they need to do to help us because they see the issue and they're willing to step up. But the other 10%, we just hope that you can do as much as you can possibly do.
Earlier this week, the governor held a ceremonial bill signing for water conservation legislation. Many of those laws will go into effect later this year, including money to get rid of unnecessary turf, secondary metering to measure just how much lawn watering you do, and getting agriculture producers to switch to new water-saving technology. The state of emergency will free up resources if water becomes increasingly scarce for some communities. The governor says Utahns can help by conserving now.
You won't be able to turn on your tap if we don't manage our water, and the people of Utah know that. We live in a desert.
What
they know.
are we going to do? What are we? What are they? What the hell are you going to do? Talk about some issues here with the water, because the water issue is still beginning to catch most government's attention. The problem is that there's just too much politics in between all the BS, and that's really the biggest problem. It's just too much politics. It's just like, hey, we need to do something to fix the water problem. I don't know what they're gonna do. I know they got to do something, but I'm not really sure what they said. They needed $1 billion from Congress. Now they're saying something different. So I don't know. And this is what all the lakes out here look like. I mean, Lake Powell's down to 25%. Hoover Dam's down to 35%. All these West Coast states. I mean, they'll tell you if you look at the West Coast in general that there's 7 different states that are in a water crisis right now. This article is talking about there are 8 states that have a huge water problem from severe to extreme. And like I said, there's more. There's probably about maybe 15 states, I would say total, that I'm aware of, but I mean, right now it's probably more than that. But the reason I want to show you guys this list here, I'll go ahead and I'll post a link to this article. Let me just scroll through here and just show you the top 8 that USA Today had pointed out. South Carolina, severe drought. That was unexpected. Utah, definitely expected that. Of course, they're number 7 on the list. Montana, that was extremely surprising to me to see them on the list, but it gets better. Idaho, wasn't surprised to see that they're in a severe drought as well. Let's see, what do we got here? Nevada, no surprise there. California, of course. Arizona should be on this list. I don't know why it's not, but to see Washington State in number 2 with not just severe drought, but extreme drought. And when you think of a state like Washington, I mean, out of 365 days a year, it probably rains over 300 days a year there. Between 300 and 330 days a year, they get rain. What the hell's going on here? And then to see number 1 on the list, Oregon. Oregon and Washington were the last 2 states I ever would have thought I would hear about an extreme drought. But they say, the article basically goes on to say that because in the winter they're not getting the snowpack that they rely on for water for the year, they just haven't been getting enough rain and enough snow. And so here's just some other examples to take into consideration. I mean, I don't have the answers. I mean, I have some ideas, but I definitely don't have all the answers. And, you know, these are the people who are in charge, who are supposed to be figuring this stuff out. I mean, they've got weather modification technology. Why don't you frickin' people create some damn rain clouds and, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. People say, oh, they can't do that. They can't modify the weather. They can't make rain clouds. Yeah, they can. Do your research. Yes, you can induce rain clouds. There's a couple different ways to do it. I've showed videos about that before. As a matter of fact, last video I showed was just maybe 6 months ago, a little bit more on this issue. So, like 15 states that are having severe water drought. And yeah, it all comes back to the Colorado River over here. I mean, there's so many states dependent on that water. It's ridiculous. And it's not the only source of water. Obviously, there's other aquifers, there's reservoirs. But yeah, like I said, you know, it seems like they waited to the last minute, and now, you know, what are the future implications of losing water in the city? And not just the city, obviously, I mean states. I mean, there's countries that are in droughts right now, and, you know, in the United States, the West Coast has got a big problem on their hands with no solutions in sight. I see a place like Arizona, Utah. I mean, if something doesn't change in a few years, I mean, you're going to see a lot of people packing up and moving out of state, and that's the way it is. So if you appreciate this video, please show your support by smashing that like button and share this video.